Hey everybody, Assalamu alaikum. This is Batul Hassan and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So I'm here with a new video that is on prepositions. So the topics that we will cover in this video are what are prepositions? Then we will move on towards why prepositions are so difficult. Moving on towards the common prepositions, we will explore some of the common prepositions. After that, we will see what are prepositional phrases and then the preposition combinations. After that, we will see the common errors that are made by ELLs. After that, we will see that the native or other language interference, and the last one is the ideas for teaching. Okay, so what are prepositions? Prepositions are small words, but they are perhaps the most difficult words to use correctly in other languages. Some of the common English prepositions include at, for, from, in, of, on, to. It is basically a word or a word phrase that shows a relationship between a noun or a pronoun and other words in a sentence. A preposition will tell four things: where something is going, when something happens, the relationship between a noun, pronoun, and another word in a sentence. So it tells the location, the direction, the time. Okay, so although they are very small words, but they are really very confusing. So let's see that why prepositions are so difficult to learn. Okay, so these are some of the difficulties that all the students face, and that's why they feel that prepositions are very difficult yet confusing. Okay, so individual prepositions do not translate well from one language to another. For example, the preposition on can be used in many different meanings, such as on the table, on Friday, on the main street. Now you can see that on is used in three different situations. First, it is used for a thing, that is for the direction that thing is on the table. Then it is telling us, it is used on telling the day that something is on Friday, and then it is telling you the location as well, that it is on the main street. So this is the reason that it is a really difficult way. Now let us move on towards the second reason. One language requires a preposition after a certain word, but other languages does not. For example, I entered the room and I entered in the room are two different ways of saying the same thing in different languages. Okay, another reason is that many idioms make use of common prepositions, and because idioms cannot be reduced from a general knowledge of the words and their meaning, we need to simply memorize them. These multiple meanings and usage takes a long time to master the prepositions. For example, once in a blue moon, on a cloud nine. So you can see that this is the reason that the prepositions are very difficult to learn. Now let's discuss some of the problem prepositions. Certain pair of preposition words cause confusion for some ELL. Some of them are for versus since, before versus ago, in versus after, for versus during, verbs of motion, enter, go, return. So these are some of the problem prepositions that are really confusing. Let's discuss it one by one so it becomes easier. Now let us see that the difference between for and since. For is used for telling a period of time, or we can say it tells a length of time. It answers the question how long. For example, for 5 years, for an hour, for a long time. Whereas we use since with the name of the start of the time. We use since to answer the question how long. With since, the answer is the period of time, but it is expressed by saying when the action began. For example, since 10 a.m., since September, since 1992. Okay, let's move on towards the other preposition, that is in and after. This is again a very common problem preposition. When talking about the future, we use in with a general period of time. It is used to answer the question when will something happen. Whereas when talking about the future, we use after with the name of a period of time. We use after to answer the question when specifically will something happen. Let's see one example. The car will be available after 2 weeks. The car will be available in 2 weeks. What do you think? What is the correct one? So the second one is correct. The car will be available in 2 weeks. And why? Because it is telling you when will something happen. That is a general period of the time. Let's move on towards for versus during. Okay, so for and during are another problem preposition. We use for with a general period of time and it is used to answer the question how long. Whereas during is used with the name of a period of time and it is used to answer the question when. So you can see that they both are really different from each other. One is giving you the answer of how long and the second one is giving you the answer when. When something is happening and for how long something is happening. Let's see one example. They did not visit their home during 2 weeks. They did not visit their home for 2 weeks. So the second one is right. Why it is right? Because it is giving you the answer of how long. They did not visit their home for how long? For 2 weeks. But the second one, they did not visit their home. When? For 2 weeks. No, it is not giving you the answer of when. Okay, so moving on towards the verbs of motion. Enter, go and return. These three are called the verbs of motion. And seriously, they are very confusing. Okay, so we do not use a preposition after enter. For example, the girl entered the room between 8:30 and 8:40. And the girl entered in the room between 8:30 and 8:40. So which one is correct? So the first one is correct. Why? Because we will not use the preposition, any preposition after enter. So it's a simple sentence. The girl entered the room between 8:30 and 8:40. No preposition after enter. Then comes another preposition to that is used with go as well and with return as well. Okay, so let's see one of the example. Some people will go to the protest on Saturday night. And another example, the girl entered the room. Some people will go the protest on Saturday night. So you can see that with go, if we will not use any of the preposition, that will sound very awkward and it will be considered wrong. So we have to use a preposition after go, that is to. And in some cases we can use in as well. So some people will go to the protest on Saturday night. That is the correct sentence. Then with return as well, we must use to. For example, Aslam will return Pakistan in 2 more weeks. Aslam will return to Pakistan in 2 more weeks. So here as well, the second sentence sounds more correct and the first one is not correct. Okay, so this is the last problem preposition and that is before and ago. We use before with the name of a specific point of time such as before Monday, before June, before the tsunami. It is also used to answer the question when. That is, when did something happen? Ago. We use ago with the name of a period of time. It is also used to answer the question how long in the past did something happen. Okay, so let's move on towards some of the prepositions. We will be discussing single word and then the 2 or 3 word prepositions. Many prepositions we use are single words like in, on and at. These are called simple prepositions, that is of only one word. For example, He stood between his mother and father in the award ceremony. That is, in is also a single preposition and between is also a single preposition. So these are some of the list of single word prepositions: above, across, against, along, between, beyond, and so on. Moving on towards two or three word prepositions, they are also prepositions which are made up of two or three words. They act in the same way as single word prepositions and they are called complex prepositions. For example, her disappointing exam results are entirely due to her inattention at home. So here is a list of two or three word prepositions. For example, in time, in demand, in of focus, on watch, on the record, on the road, at high speed, at sight. You can see there are two words as well and three word prepositions as well. Now let's see what are prepositional phrases. A prepositional phrase is the combination of a preposition and its object. That is a noun or a pronoun or any other modifier such as articles or adjectives. For example, on Tuesday. Here you can see that the preposition is combined with the noun. That is Tuesday. In the middle, here a preposition is combined with an article and then a noun. At a secret place, it is a phrase that has a preposition, an article, an adjective and a noun. Okay, so one area of preposition that confuses ELL is the location of prepositional phrase within a sentence. It can come at the beginning as well, in the middle and at the end as well. For example, in Pakistan, the production of oranges has fallen by 50% due to shortage of water. Here you can see that the prepositional phrase is coming in the beginning. The literacy rate in Pakistan remains stagnant at 60%. Divorce ratio sees an increase every year in Pakistan. So you can see that in Pakistan is the prepositional phrase that is coming in the beginning as well, in the middle or in the end as well. So it can come anywhere in a sentence depending on the sentence structure or the situation. Now, when a sentence has both a prepositional phrase of place and time, we put the place phrase before the time phrase. For example, the coronavirus was confirmed to have reached in February 2020 in Pakistan. The coronavirus was confirmed to have reached in Pakistan in February 2020. So you can see that we have to put the place phrase before the time phrase. Secondly, when we have two prepositional phrases of place or two of time in the same sentence, then we arrange them from smaller to larger. For example, the holy book is kept in the box on the shelf in the prayer room. So, see, we have arranged them accordingly. That is from smaller to larger. Now, let's see in, on, and at for place and time. Let's start with at. That is used for the specific time. For example, 2:30 p.m., at noon, at 4 o'clock, at night, at sunrise. So you can see they are telling us the specific time. Then moving on towards on, it is used to tell the days and the dates. For example, on Tuesday, on Sunday, on Christmas Day, on the New Year, on my birthday, whereas in is non-specific time. That is, it is used for non-specific time. For example, during a day, in a month, in a year. Okay, so this chart tells us the bigger to smaller aspect. That is, in is used to tell the bigger or longer period of time or a non-specific aspect of time, whereas at is used to tell a specific time, or we can say that It tells us the specific or shorter aspect of time. Now let's come on towards the preposition combinations. Okay, a preposition combination means that a preposition is either combined with an adjective or a noun or a verb. Now the question arises that how the students or we can learn these preposition combinations. So basically there are three techniques of learning these preposition combinations. First is rote memorization, second is direct teacher instructions followed by practice, and the third is massive exposure to it through extensive reading. All these three techniques can work, but the first two are recommended for ELLs who are on a tight schedule, whereas the third one is best for the young ELLs who will have years of exposure to English. But exposure works especially well after direct teacher instruction, because direct instructions increases the likelihood that learners will actually notice certain features in the language. Let's take an example of a song, Old MacDonald Had a Farm. Here, the learners are not just singing the line, and on his farm he had a duck or cow, but they are in fact indirectly learning that we say on a farm in English and not in a farm. So this is how we can make the students learn the combinations and the usage of prepositions. Now there is no rule to understand these combinations, that why we say we count on someone, whereas we agree with someone and we worry about someone. Now there is no logic that why we say about in one case and for or with in another. So there is no rule governed. So it is up to the teachers that how they make their students learn these combinations. Let's see some of the preposition combinations. Okay, some adjectives go with certain prepositions. There is no real pattern. You need to learn them as you meet them. So here are some of the preposition and adjective combinations. Accustomed to, accused of, addicted to, afraid of, and so on. Moving on towards the verb and preposition list. So you can see that here are some of the examples that the verbs are combined with the prepositions and they form a combination. Turn to, ask for, escape from, be on, guess at, be about, and so on. Here are some nouns that usually go with these prepositions, but in some cases other noun preposition combinations are also possible. As I have already told before that there is no rule that why we are using this noun with this preposition, so it can go with any of them. Now after that, let's see some of the ELL mistakes, what your ELL should know. As we have already discussed that this is a very confusing topic and ELLs usually confuse them when they are using it. So let's discuss it. Let's discuss some of the problems that they face and what mistakes they are making. So do not use in with the specific names of business or the like. For example, I work in Karachi University and I work at Karachi University. So you can see that when we are talking about a specific name of business or any organization, we have to use at and we cannot use in. Secondly, do not use at with years or with the cities or any geographical locations. For example, I was born at 1994. Do you think it is a right sentence? No, this is wrong. I was born in 1994. So you can see that with years we have to use in. Moving on towards the location, he must not park his car at front of the school. So this is again a wrong sentence. He must not park his car in front of the school. So with locations and with years we have to use in. Another error that is very common in ELLs is that don't use in for streets or days. Now, when we are talking about streets or days, we have to be careful that we are not using in. For example, the YouTube video was to be uploaded in Sunday. This is wrong. That is because we are using in with a day. The YouTube video was uploaded on Sunday. So this is the right sentence. Yesterday I went in the main street of Federal Bay area. Yesterday I went in the main street of Federal Bay area. So you can see that we have to use in for streets and for days, and we cannot use any of the other preposition. Okay, if you are using a verb form after a preposition, the verb must end in ing. For example, I complained about do the homework. Is it right? No, this is wrong. Then what is the correct sentence? I complained about doing the homework. So we have to add ing with the verb form after a preposition. With adjectives, one of the most common errors is using the preposition for too often. For example, they are nervous for the presentation. And this is the wrong sentence. Then what is the correct? They are nervous about the presentation. So we cannot use for every time. Okay, now we have to be very careful with prepositions for specific idiomatic phrases such as with morning, afternoon, evening, or at night. For example, due to power failure, she was not able to watch her favorite program in night. Due to power failure, she was not able to watch her favorite program at night. So you can see that we have to be very specific when we are using these idiomatic phrases. We cannot use in for every preposition, and we cannot use at for every phrase. For example, we have to use at with the night. Okay, moving on towards the native language interference, that is comparing the English language with other languages. Now, prepositions do not translate well from one language to another. No two languages have the same sets of prepositions. Almost all the ELLs have problems with at, on, and in, because these three common English prepositions may be expressed by 1, 2, 3 or more prepositions in different languages. No other languages uses these three prepositions in the same way as English does. Distinct preposition placement. Prepositions in Urdu occur after the object of the sentence, whereas the English prepositions come before the object of a sentence. So you can see the placement of prepositions changes in every language. As I am making the video from Pakistan, and so I'll be focusing on Urdu language because this is the main language that is used here. So let's take an example. Naeem was born in 1970. Here there is the preposition in, and in Urdu we say it mein. Naeem 1970, or if we are saying it in Urdu, Naeem 1970 में पैदा हुआ था. Now in this sentence, may is the preposition, and you can see the placement of the preposition that is coming after the object in Urdu. Let's take another example. Naila stood beside her friend, and in Urdu, Naila अपनी सहेली के पास खड़ी थी. In English, the preposition is beside, and in Urdu, it is taraf or pass. Now let's see some of the ideas for teaching. Proficiency level learners. The focus of the lesson for beginner level learners should be common prepositions including one word, two word or three word with concrete and non-idiomatic meanings. Whereas students with an intermediate level of competence must deal with confusing pairs or trios of prepositions. And at the upper, intermediate and advanced levels, ELLs are the learners who are learning new vocabulary that often requires prepositions. It is encouraged that they must be made familiar with the combination of specific prepositions with certain verbs, adjectives, and nouns. Now let's see some of the preposition activities that you can enjoy with your learners. Penny, in her book Grammar Practice Activities, has suggested some prepositions activities for English language learners, which are as follows: finding twins, guessing locations, describe and arrange. So you can see that here are some of the examples that will go best for your learners. Do try it. Apart from that, there are some of the auditory and visual practice activities as well. There should be a variety of preposition activities that allow ELL to see and hear the various ways in which prepositions are used. Its example can be a picture-based activity, a situation-based activity, or a role-play activity. Apart from these activities, teachers' feedback is also very important. Prepositions are often unstressed in natural conversation, so ELLs can hardly notice and learn correct preposition usage without a teacher or a textbook pointing it out. Therefore, the activities designed for prepositions should provide opportunities for English language learners to receive feedback from teachers on their use of prepositions. So teachers' feedback is really important when you are teaching any of the topic, and especially preposition that is a very confusing and difficult. Hope that you enjoyed the video and you learned a lot about prepositions. Take care. Allah Hafiz.